Hey guys, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to see how I get the boat ready before I go out and make runs and stuff like that. It's a pretty simple process, but it just involves installing the batteries, putting the tape on, getting ready to walk out the door, that kind of stuff. So stay tuned. Okay. Now, there's one thing that I like to do. I don't know, maybe people have a workaround for this, but I have to turn on the transmitter. And then turn on the boat. Good start up. I just don't know. I wish there was some way to do that from outside the boat, but I guess because all the electronics are in there, there's no way.
There's just no way, man.
I don't want to stress these out. These are very sensitive, these knobs. Some people will over tighten them and they do it pretty easily. Definitely pretty easily. I use electrical tape because it's cheap. It's just the right size, you know what I mean? I've tried other tapes and then some of them are just too wide, etc., etc. Make sure I do the front lip first, and this gives me a clean strip that I can peel. I can grab one corner of the front and then peel the rest of my tape off. And the reason we tape the canopy is to keep any water out of the hull of the boat that we can in the event of something not good. Because not good things do happen. This is every time I run it. And at the end of this video, what we'll do is we will we'll go through the post-run and storage kind of maintenance procedure. Also, I think the electrical tape is hard to see, like when it's on the water, so it kind of gives it a more clean look. I guess there's like clear tapes, but electrical tapes are so easy to work with. It's pliable. You can buy it by the log for like $10. And that's the end of that roll. All right, and now we can go grab a boat. Go ahead and make that the last run of the day. Power off. Now we can power off here. They're not crazy hot. They're not cold, but they're not crazy hot. I was doing a lot of high-speed runs back to back, and that would do it. So I always take the batteries out, I make sure they're not super swollen, and then I'll set them down on the granite. Seems to help cool them down a little faster than lay them on their side on the granite. Get this one out of here. There's a little bit of water in there, not a whole lot. Nothing I'm crazy concerned with. I'm just gonna wind up dabbing it up and see how that goes there. Okay, so we just got our boat out of the water. We've opened the canopy, we've taken the batteries out. We've noticed there's a little bit of moisture in here. What we're gonna do real quick first, before we go into the maintenance part of things, we're just gonna dab the moisture, you know, any excess moisture with a paper towel. Nothing crazy. See it in a few little pockets, you know, in the frame. I already know because I carried the boat with the aft side down that it should be towards the back for the most part. I'm not really forcing the paper towel anywhere. I'm kind of just letting it pick up what it can. The rest can just dry off over time because it'll sit for a few days. I mainly run it on the weekends. I don't always run it on the weekdays. So she sits for a little while. And then we'll get to the maintenance part of things. Requires a certain set of tools. We'll get into that here in a second. Okay, so to properly maintain your boat, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get this Dynamite RC ProBoat kit. It's got a couple of neat little things. First, it's got these wrenches. These are really just field wrenches. I wouldn't recommend using these on a regular basis, but they're nice to have. The other neat thing are these socket bits that are telescoping in this adjustable screw base. So like whatever length you need, be it super short or super long, you can kind of adjust it. And each size is a size that is directly related to the ProBoat hardware. These are the two that came with it. One other thing that you'll need for maintenance, and this is, you know, every 3 sessions or 30 minutes of run, they say. I like to do it when I'm done for the weekend and maybe once in the middle of my weekend. 2 12mm wrenches. Obviously it doesn't matter what brand you have, but you're gonna wanna have 2 12mm wrenches for the drive chuck that comes out of the back of the motor. And you're also gonna wanna have either the Dynamite marine grease or the shaft grease that came with the boat. Since I still have some of this, I'm kind of using a combination of it. But this is really good for break-in. It's not really good for high performance, but it's really good for break-in, this shaft grease. In the future, I'm gonna be getting more of the Dynamite marine grease. But I do like the 50/50. It seems to keep it really nice and clean. This really binds to the dirt and stuff. This is just a really good lubricant in general. And that's basically it. We'll get into the boat now. Okay, so step one, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull the pin here to open up the grease trap. And that'll expose our drive chuck. I usually kind of just put this in the cap there, that way I know where that cotter pin is. And the grease helps it stay, because it's sticky. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna break this drive chuck by putting one wrench here and another wrench on the aft bit. Sometimes I give it a little bit of a working before I get it to totally come apart. And it's good to have the both wrenches because then you can kind of get double the action, double your pleasure. And then once it's finger tight, I just back it off with my finger. I won't take it all the way off, just, you know, almost to the last couple of threads there. And now we're gonna move on to the aft part of the boat. Okay, so as you can see, there are a couple of different types of fasteners here on the rudder assembly. There's traditional nylock and screw, or Allen head screws. And then here's a totally nylon fastener that's the breakaway fastener for the rudder. In case the rudder gets an impact, it just snaps back. It doesn't rip the transom off the back of the boat. So that's kind of a nice feature. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to free up the strut here because we have to be able to take the strut down. So we're gonna start taking off the rudder hardware. That's the first bit. And I believe the rudder hardware is gonna be this spindle here, as well as this one here. I can just check to make sure, yep, that's it. Okay. Because I don't have two of these drivers, I'm obviously just going to use my hand for the nut side. It's not a big deal. And none of these, when they go back on, have to be crazy torqued because they've got nylon inserts. obviously nylon traditionally is a single-use piece of hardware. But I think in this application it's not, we're not going to outer space, as we say. We're not going to outer space. All right. Now we need, not that one. That one. So we've taken the servo linkage off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slightly break this one. I'm not going to remove it, but I am going to kind of just like break it and make it loose. So that way when I go to take this off the bottom, the nylon, it's not bound up. You know what I mean? Because you want to be very gentle with this nylon fastener because it's literally designed to break. Okay, now I can just go like that if I need to with the rudder. Not a big deal. I do like to do that. I do. And now we'll start getting to the meat and potatoes, which are these fasteners here. We're just gonna go all the way out with them. Gotta move this servo linkage. There we go. And at this point, sometimes the strut's a little bound up, so you gotta move it. You got all that weight on this one last screw. All that weight, it's like an ounce, but it still binds up. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got our drive chuck loose, got our strut unfastened. Well, we'll get to that part in just a minute. I want you to see what you got to do to get this strut out here. Okay, so while we've got this kind of lifted up, we're gonna pull down, and once that's clear, we twist, and then just, we should be able to, with one finger, pull it right back out. And now we've got our flex shaft. Okay. So we've got our flex shaft. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna snip this right in half. Get 2 little pokey bits there. I'm gonna go ahead and get the grease ready. And we're gonna start cleaning the shaft here. I like to go from the aft side forward. That way it kind of rubs the grease back up. And again, if there's any paper towel bits stuck to it, I kind of just brush those off. Okay. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some of this here. Oh, before I get crazy, I'm gonna open this cap. All right. See how thick that is? It's like if Gushers were a paste, not a candy. When I apply the grease, I like to apply it on one straight line. That way when I put the flex shaft back into the drive tube, it doesn't get all over the edge of the drive tube. I can kind of like rest the opposite side on the bottom of the drive tube while I'm putting it back in. If that makes sense. Okay, so I feel like that's pretty good application. I'll save this for later. I'll show you why I'm going to save this for later. Now we can switch to the dynamite grease. And we'll just do a light bead, very light bead, because we've got the other stuff too. I want to go crazy. Yeah. Oh, got it on my finger. Shenanigans. All right. Now let's go ahead and reinstall this back into the boat.
All right. Here we go. Keeping the grease kind of on the top side there. Okay. All right. We'll start putting our fasteners back in. Do the top fastener as well. And sometimes you gotta like work it, kind of get that screw back in there. There we go. Well, at the end of it, we're gonna have this whole system pre-stressed, so that when it flexes in the direction we want it to. All right, so I want as much down deflection as I can get, so I'm going to kind of pull it down a little bit before I tighten it. We'll start on the bottom one. I'm just cranking it as hard as I think is reasonable. You know, nothing too crazy. Okay. Now, we're going to reinsert our nylon fastener here, which we had the nut on the port side. And this we're only going to do hand tight for right now. Just real quick, we're going to torque our rudder after we get this rudder steering linkage back on. Okay. All right, now we can torque the rudder nut. And if we want to, we can kind of use a tool on this nylon. Nothing too crazy though, you know, it is plastic. It's designed to break, so you don't want to go ham on it. Now we're going to take our 12mm wrenches here, and we're going to make sure that the shaft out here has been pulled out as far as it can be. That there's a gap that's about the size of maybe a nickel to a dime between the strut and the prop. And we can tighten this chuck. This here drive chuck back on up. This you do want to go pretty tight. Again, you know, not past your good judgment, pretty good, because it's gonna undergo a lot of force during like hole shots and things like that. And we can close our grease trap. Put our cotter pin back in. And that's the essence of the drive maintenance. Earlier you heard me mention I was going to keep the Q-tip. This is why I was going to keep the Q-tip, because I put this little bit of extra grease just kind of on there. You know what I mean? Maybe around here a little bit. I just try to use it, that way it's not going to waste. I'll put it like on the side of the rudder there at the base. Because these are still metal on metal contacting surfaces, you know what I mean? Why not have a little bit of lubrication? We always want our batteries to be in storage mode. Now I know what you guys are wondering. How does he keep the boat so clean? He uses Honda, Pro Honda High Performance Spray Cleaner and Polish. Quickly cleans, polishes, and protects plastic, chrome, paint, and aluminum. Woo! Does everything. It's a good product. I stand by it.
I know about that stuff because I use it for my motorcycle. It's good product. For sure. For sure. Not taking much of this stuff, that's for sure. A little bit. Oh. Make the bottom of this hole slick and snap. That's for sure. The goal here is to do as much cleaning without having to lift the boat up as possible. Doesn't always work out that way, but it is nice when it does. I feel some very bad grime up under here. The grime comes from the algae in the water and all that stuff. You know, it's not exactly Fiji water that we're boating in down here in Florida. Making it sound the same. Anyway, you agree, but it ain't heavy on either. Okay. Now, the coup de grace. We'll clean the other side of the boat. Woo! Okay. A little awkward. It always is. But it allows for effective cleaning.
Okay. Well guys, all in all, it's a beautiful boat. I love having it. I love taking care of it. It's a pleasure. If you treat it right, it will treat you right. So for anybody out there that wants to know if the ProBoat 42 BlackJack is worth the buy, I think it's worth the buy, for sure. Just gotta treat it with respect, you know, it's a machine. All right guys, thanks for tuning in. Peace.